In the world of finance, power and prestige are everything. Some names rise to define eras: Rothschild, Lehman, Morgan, and for nearly 2 centuries, Barings Bank stood among them. But in 1995, this 233-year-old institution, the Queen's Bank, the banker to the British elite, vanished overnight. Not because of war, not because of a market crash, but because of one man, a single trader, sitting thousands of miles away in Singapore, who brought down one of Britain's oldest financial empires. His name was Nick Leeson. And this is the story of how a 25-year-old's hidden trades destroyed a bank older than the United States itself. Nick Leeson wasn't born into money. He wasn't a Wall Street prodigy or a Harvard graduate. He grew up in a working-class family in Watford, England. His father was a plasterer. His mother worked as a nurse. Nick's life began like millions of others, ordinary, unremarkable, and far from the glamorous world of finance. But Nick had ambition, the kind that doesn't sleep. He entered the financial world through the back door, not as a trader, but as a back-office clerk at Kuye Bank, then Morgan Stanley. There, he learned something crucial: how systems work and how they can be bent. In 1989, Barings noticed him. They saw a young man hungry for success, willing to work long hours, and above all, eager to impress. By 1992, he was sent to Singapore to run the futures operations at the Singapore International Monetary Exchange, known as SIMEX, a dream assignment. Leeson was only 25, and suddenly, he was Barings Bank's man in Asia, managing trades worth hundreds of millions. But beneath the success, Nick was juggling two roles: front office and back office. In the front, he placed trades. In the back, he confirmed and reconciled them. It was a fatal setup. No trader should ever control both. It's the foundation of financial control. But at Barings, they trusted him completely. Every downfall begins small. For Nick, it started with a simple human error. One of his junior staff accidentally made a trade that lost £20,000. Instead of reporting it, Nick decided to hide it. Just until he made it back, he told himself. He created a secret account inside Barings' system, a number that would become infamous: account 88888. To outsiders, it looked like a clearing error. To Leeson, it was his hidden vault of lies. That single act of concealment began the chain reaction. The more losses he made, the more he traded to recover them. And like every gambler who thinks he can double down his way out, the hole only grew deeper. Ironically, Nick was becoming a star. His early trades on the Nikkei 225, Japan's stock index, looked brilliant. Barings believed he was making millions. They rewarded him with bonuses, praise, and global recognition. Headlines called him the Wonder Boy of Singapore. But behind that fame, the account was bleeding red. By late 1993, the hidden losses crossed £50 million. Nick kept going. He was trading Nikkei futures and options, betting on the direction of Japan's markets after years of economic slowdown. And then came 1995, the Kobe earthquake. In January, the earthquake devastated Japan. Thousands dead, billions lost, and markets in free fall. The Nikkei collapsed, and so did Nick's secret empire. At this point, Nick Leeson was placing trades worth billions, far exceeding the bank's total capital. He was hiding losses exceeding £200 million, and the only people who knew were him and his assistant. His reports to London said everything was fine. Profits looked excellent. But the truth was catastrophic. By February 1995, the hole had grown to £827 million. Still, Nick doubled down. He placed a massive bet that the Nikkei would rebound. But markets had no mercy. The Nikkei kept falling, and Barings' fate was sealed. Within days, the losses ballooned to £1.3 billion, roughly $1.4 billion US dollars. That was twice the bank's available capital. A 233-year-old institution, gone. The Queen's personal bank, bankrupted by one man. When the numbers couldn't be hidden anymore, Nick panicked. On February 23, 1995, he left a note on his desk. It read, "I'm sorry." He and his wife Lisa fled Singapore, first to Kuala Lumpur, then to Germany. But the chase was on. Interpol issued an arrest warrant. Within days, he was caught in Frankfurt. And in 1996, Nick Leeson was sentenced to 6.5 years in a Singapore prison. He served 4 and was released early for good behavior and cancer treatment. By then, Barings Bank no longer existed. It had been sold to ING for £1, £1 British, the price of a 233-year legacy. The collapse of Barings Bank sent shockwaves through the financial world. Regulators demanded tighter controls, risk management reforms, and separation between traders and back-office staff. The story became a case study, a symbol of what happens when oversight fails and ego takes control. Nick Leeson's name became synonymous with reckless trading. Yet, in interviews years later, he showed remorse. He became a motivational speaker, wrote a book titled Rogue Trader, and even served as CEO of an Irish football club. But the shadow of Barings never left him. Nick Leeson's story isn't just about greed or failure. It's a warning that intelligence without accountability is a weapon. That unchecked ambition can bring down not just a man, but an empire. One trader, one account, $1 billion. And one lesson that every trader, every institution, and every generation should never forget. If you found this story fascinating, make sure to subscribe. Because next, we're diving into another scandal that changed trading forever.